Replacing the strings on a nylon strung guitar. You'll need a new set of strings and optionally wire cutters and a string winder. The most difficult part of restringing a nylon strung guitar is the tailpiece and saddle. You can see here the string is actually tied in a knot, or is at least hooped around the tailpiece of the guitar. The actual threading is very simple. The string will just go through a hole and the hole comes out this end, and then it's looped round back on itself. But then you'll notice on this particular guitar it's only got one hoop, but the end where the hoops lie, it actually goes back over around and where the string emerges from the hole. This is because when the pressure is put on the string, it actually pulls down on the end of the string there and stops it from coming undone. Now this is one hoop. This is a brave method for if you're quite confident. You can use several hoops if you want. I'll show you an example of that now. Notice with this guitar there are several loops. The tailpiece is exactly the same style. There is the hole running through here and the string would thread through the hole. It's then been looped, but this time it's been wrapped around itself 2 or 3 times. This is just the preference of the person who strung this guitar. The style of the tailpiece is exactly the same as the other guitar. You may notice the guitar itself is a completely different style, but this does not affect the way it's strung. As long as it's nylon strings and you have the same saddle and bridge mechanism, you'd use the same stringing technique. As we've used this guitar for an illustration and it's a little unusual, it's worth saying something about it. This is a classical or Spanish guitar and plays in exactly the same way. You'll notice it has a wide neck and nylon strings. However, it is an electric guitar and it is intended to be plugged into either an amplifier or a mixing desk. This is useful for recording or playing in very large venues. This type of guitar, where it's just the outline of the guitar with a hole in the middle, is called a skeleton guitar for obvious reasons. If you're replacing the strings because they're worn, the place to start is at the machine heads, where you'd have to loosen the string off, literally unwind it, down tune it, until the string's loose enough to untie. So you'd pull it out this end and then unknot it from the other end, and then you'd have a blank space for the new string. I've got here a string winder. If you've seen any of my other tutorials on restringing, these are very useful for removing strings, especially on the classical guitar. There we go. So now we've got that there. Can't see that, can you? Now we've got that there, we just pull it out and the string is ready to go back to this end. And you can see it'll come loose quite quickly out through the hole, and we have the space there ready to put a new string on. If you have a broken string, we'll do to impersonate this scenario, I'll actually cut it with wire cutters. There we go. So if you have a broken string, you'll have 2 loose ends, one for this side and one for the other, and it literally just loosens. The hoop will come out thus, and then just pull it through, and that's removed it from that end. At the other end, you see it's wound round here. This you can either push it through several times or just rewind it. I actually find it's quicker to push it through, or if you have one, use a string winder, and that's probably the best way of all 3 methods. I'm just showing you this one. It says you can't get hold of it. There we go. Is that ready for pushing? No. There we go. String removed, ready for the bin. So I'll remove the other strings and then we'll start putting them on. Right, I've removed all the strings, but it's worth noting at this point that I always clean the guitar before I start putting the new strings on. This is because much of this, there's just no way you can clean this when the strings are on. Any awkward bits, use a paintbrush. This is actually good when the strings are on, actually it gets right in the cracks. So I'm just wiping under the area where the strings normally sit. Fingerboard. give a bit of a furniture polish. There you go. It's nice, isn't it? And down to the end here. And you can see it was pretty disgusting. If you're wondering what this is just something I use to hang the guitar up on the wall to keep it out of the way when I'm not using it. There we go. Ready to be restrung. Right, to restring it, I've got these daddy strings. They're not expensive, but I don't use this guitar very much, to be quite honest. It spends most of its time sitting on the wall. Here we go. The obviously first, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. We'll start with the sixth string, as that was the first one we cut off. If you're doing this yourself at home, it's probably a good idea to actually do one string at a time, so you can copy the path of the previous strings. So we'll start with the bottom E string. We take it through the hole here at the end, assuming we can find it. There we go. Through the hole, back on itself, loop around, back to the beginning, and then we take it, bend it and take it under the string. Can you see that? There we go. Right, and then we need to keep the pressure on this as we go up to the top end. So we've kept the pressure on. I'm holding it down in the appropriate slot in the nut. Then we thread it through the hole in the tuner. Now give it a little bit of loose there, otherwise it'll tighten up straight away and there won't be anything to grip onto the string. So I'm now going to use, to speed this up as I'm on video, a winder. There we go. So that'll do for now. And you can see, remove this blue thing, you can see it's going through the appropriate slot in the nut, down through the hole and round this. Now it can go round here within reason as many times as you want. Probably that is probably too soon. It does need a couple more winds to keep it tight, and the pressure will come on the other end. So let's do another string, show you how. It's worth pointing out here we've got a string, and this does happen on the bottom three strings, where the winding, which is sometimes brass or nickel, is not gone to the core. So this bit is floppy, and you can just tell this. You can see where it tightens up there. Now this bit of string is pretty no good, so that is going to be waste string. So whatever you do, don't put it thus, so that this string is coming into you. So if you're using it at this end, you need to pull it well through, so that this string can be cut off when you're finished. Now what I'll do is I'll use the other end, where the core is going right to the end. So again, we thread it through the hole, giving ourselves enough to bring it back, bring the string back to the beginning, around, and then we bend, we've got it around the loop around, see? We then bend that slightly and loop it through the end of the string, more or less where the hole is. Thus, can you see that? And now I just take up the pressure of the string. There we go. And then again, we can go to the far end of the guitar and tie it down on the other end. Again, we draw the string down the guitar, put it through the appropriate slot, hold it down, and then through the hole in the string winder, in the tuning peg. There we go. Can't get it through. This could be another place where these bits of straggly string. Let's turn that around. There you go. It's easier to see now. There we go. Now I'll use the winder to bring this up more quickly. There we go. Just straighten that out a bit. So it's taken up all the pressure. There we go. Worth pointing out at this point, the strings go over the top and round that away. Over the top and round that away. Never take them under. Should always go over the top and round. Right, I'll do the other strings now. Important to note at this stage that on the top 3 strings, because they're made of nylon and they slip readily, you need to put a knot near the end so that it locks into the hoop. Can you see that knot there? Now this can be done 2 ways. We can either thread through, normally as we've done on the first strings, and then tie the knot, or we can tie the knot and then thread it through the other way from this side. So I'll tie the knot first and then we'll do it that way. Right, on this last string then here we're showing we've tied the knot previously, so we're going from the other side now. We can't push it back through this way the way we've done past. We have to come to the other side and push it through this side from the back here. So find the hole and push through and it comes out here. So then we just do the same process as before, but in reverse. We bring that back round and back, and now we make sure that the knot is beyond the point where the string will tighten down on it, because the knot will stop the string from slipping. So we push that through with the knot. There we go. Bring the pressure down on it, and you can see the knot will hold it in place as we tighten it up now. Right, here we are at the other end, keeping the pressure on, bringing it down over the nut again, hold it in the appropriate place, through the hole, flicked out there, through the hole, without flicking out, stay in your bugger. There we go, leaving a little bit of loose there, so I can give it some time to tighten up. So here we go. See, we've given it, by leaving it loose, it's gone round at least once, which is a good thing. That's what we need. I can feel that. There we go. Completely done. We've just got to tune it up now and it will be ready to go. There we have it, a complete set of strings finished. You will need to retune several times because they do go out of tune as they stretch. The nylon strings are particularly bad for stretching, so you'll probably be tuning it for the next few days, but once they've settled in they'll be fine. Final thing we do is just clean up the extra bits of string with the wire cutters. This isn't necessary, you can wind them up or just tidy them up in any way you wish, but it looks nicer if you cut them off. There you go.